Hello, what have we here? James, did you hear that the Lando series is done? It's over. They're not making the Lando series anymore because it's a movie now. Woo! And we know what happens with Star Wars movies. They get made.
I thought you were going to say canceled.
Oh, man. Welcome, everybody, to the Resistance broadcast. I'm John. That's James. And we are here to talk to you about that news about the Lando movie and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, James, just out of the gate, like when you heard that news, were you like, because it came from the source. It's from Donald Glover's brother who's co-writing it. It wasn't one of those things that came from, a report from a report from a report. Were you surprised that that was sort of the bomb he dropped on that one?
Yeah, a little bit, but also don't forget that after it was said, Variety reached out to Lucasfilm and Lucasfilm confirmed it. So Variety's report on the story said, we reached out to Lucasfilm and they said, yes, that's in fact accurate. So I was like, that's wild that they had something to say about it and confirmed. That made it feel even more real than just somebody being like, we're kind of treating it like a movie. You know what I mean? Because they said, who was it that just said that about Ahsoka? You know what I mean? Well, what's my favorite episode? I kind of see it like the whole thing is like a movie, Yeah. I could see a creator sort of encountering the project like that. But it was pretty wild to hear and then see that was in fact confirmed that they're turning it into a movie. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, we'll get into it, but yeah, it was kind of shocking.
We will get into it. And, obviously, if, you're listening and watching, you see the title of the episode. So the question is going to be, is this Solo 2 happening? So we'll get into that. But before we do, we want to thank everybody who either listens or watches the TRB. And by the way, Lacey, her current schedule, she'll be back with us on TRB Live on Wednesday. Go hit her up on social media at Lacey Gillerin and say hello. But also get your dose on the TRB Live episodes. But if you're digging what we're doing over here, please do subscribe on your preferred audio platform, whether that's Apple or Spotify. We just recently started charting in Australia, which is cool. And our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@theResistanceBroadcast. Free to subscribe there as well. And if you like what we do and you want some more exclusive content and also to support what we do here, for starting at $5, you can join our Patreon. Go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/ResistanceBroadcast. And check out our tiers. We have a lot of cool perks, rewards, and benefits and fun stuff over there, including a Discord server. So if you're getting a little uneasy about what's going on with social media and you want a great place to come hang out, that's another benefit of our Patreon too.
Elon just bought Discord. So
he bought our Discord?
No, he bought Discord. So he's just like,
but yeah, go check it out. And if you can support us, it means a great deal to us because everything we do here at TRB is from the three of us, and all the support we get from everybody keeps us going and allows us to keep growing. So thank you very, very much. James, we're bringing back a segment we haven't done in a while. So take it away, my friend.
All right.
The Force is with me, and I'm one with the Force.
This is one of the toughest segments we have here at TRB because Star Wars has a lot of options to choose from, but in One with the Force, you can only choose one answer for each one of the upcoming questions, and that's what makes it so difficult. We are going to kick it off with probably the toughest of the three, though. I will say that. I looked at this question and I was like, oh my gosh, we talked about the trolley problem on the other episode the other day. And I'm like, this is similar. Right, so the first one to kick off One with the Force this week is you are captured and sentenced for crimes you did not commit in the known Star Wars galaxy. You can either, here are your two options, accept sentencing to life in prison in the known galaxy where you can have occasional visitors, but you live out your days in a cell. Or the other option is you are banished to a secondary galaxy far, far away where you are free to roam as you please, but you are unable to return to the known galaxy and will never see your friends or family again. I do have one question about this, John. Is this place that you're being banished to like Peridia, or is it like just the other galaxy where like I could start a new life on other planets and stuff? Do we stay in the vein of Ahsoka?
I guess we can, just for the sake of what we know, and
Okay.
it's in people's minds; they could see it.
All right. Well, then you tell me what you're going with between these two.
I would have to accept the life sentence and live in a cell, because I don't know that I could would want to go on without any of my friends or family. That stuff's really, really important to me. So I think even if I did go on and like try to have a new existence wherever I'm exiled in this new galaxy, whether it's Peridia or what have you, I wouldn't be as jovial and adjusted as Ezra. So I would not have a good go with it. So I'm going to go with, I'll take the sentence. I'll live in my cell. Maybe they'll let me, hit the gym once in a while or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But at least I'll get to see my friends and family sometimes and maybe hear some other entertaining things happening outside the cell. But that's what I'm going with. What about you?
I think if the other opportunity was you just had to go to the other galaxy and there were people and there were environments and you're basically just starting a new life. I think that me as a person, like as much as it would suck knowing that those people are still alive, I think I could come to the conclusion that, like life is what it is and those people are gone, just the same as if they just died. You have to move on. If like every member of your family died for some reason, you could move forward. And at least in the environment of the other galaxy, you'd be able to do that. Or you'd be able to have like a normal life. But the thing is like, if we are going to say that it's banishment to Peridia, I would just die there. I'm 100% sure. That would not benefit me in any way, being like, yeah, you can free to roam around this land. And I'd be like, okay, so one aspect of my freedom has been met, but I have to hunt for my food and like all this other stuff. I'm like, no, this is not a life that I would rather have. I would prefer to be in a cell surrounded, with other people and stuff that may or may not be difficult, but you would be provided food and basic needs and other things like that. I just feel like, and then obviously there's still connection to friends and family. If anybody wanted to come and visit you, you'd still be able to see them and stuff. That just seems like a better answer considering the other galaxy. If it was as simple as like you're being deported and you can never come back to America again, but you have to start a new life in another country, you're like, okay, well, yeah, but I could just, do what I was doing here over there or whatever. Yeah. But without friends and family. So I think I'm going to go with the same thing as you, where we would just take the prison sentence and live our days in a
dark
cell.
start to the show. But yeah.
Here we got another one though. Let's do this one. It is, what is your favorite last scene in a Star Wars movie? I'm going to let you try to guess what mine is, John.
Let me run through it in my mind real quick.
Yeah, I got to think of yours too. This one. He might like that one.
Oh, you wouldn't like that one.
I know which one you did.
Oh, you definitely would not pick that one. I'm going to say that you.
I think you're going to get it wrong.
Because I think sometimes you like to do the like surprise. I got you. I think you're going to say like Attack of the Clones.
Nope. No, nobody likes that one.
I thought it's the best one in the prequels, in my opinion.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, actually, my real pick, and this sort of surprised me too, is I really put up the lineup and I thought about all of them, and I was like, you know which one I think actually is like the best one? It's A New Hope.
That's a great one.
Yeah. I actually think that one, like it's I like the ones that like have cliffhanger endings and stuff, but at the end of the day, like when you say like what really encapsulates Star Wars, what's the great ending? And I was like, I think it's the one where everybody is like, we won, and I was like, okay, cool. So like now that I've narrowed out half of them, because they're like the foretelling endings as opposed to the happy we won endings. I thought which one was the best, and I was like, I think honestly it is they walk down the aisle, they get the awards, they stand in front of anybody, and the music there is not like the Force theme or something. It's its own original piece of music, and yet is so iconic as like that song that plays at the end.
It's the Force theme, but it's a like a marching band.
I guess that's true. That is
version
true.
of it.
Yeah.
But you're right. It is a unique piece that is on the favorites of many, including myself. Yeah.
I think it's A New Hope.
That's a great scene. The simplicity of it, and then the completion of it, and the happy ending, and everything is like, it's good.
I'm guessing yours is Rise of Skywalker.
You would be incorrect.
Oh, all right. I thought
you're in the neighborhood, though. My favorite last scene in a Star Wars movie is The Force Awakens.
Really? Okay. All right.
Yeah, that scene.
You know what threw me off? I was thinking that would be Lacey's, and then I was like, it probably isn't Lacey's because she hates the final shot of it.
The helicopter shot. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I think that was what threw me off. But yeah, for you, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, because I remember I think the first time I saw that in the theater, I got like misty-eyed at the music, the Jedi steps, and like
right, which is another original.
Yeah, and Rey climbing up the mountain, and we're wondering, is she going to find Luke? Is she not? And then we see him, and he reveals, takes his hood off, and the music swells, and all that. I thought that scene was just so perfect. And I was like, this is unbelievable. Like, I can't believe I got to wait 2 years to find out where this goes next, So that is burned in my brain as just like such a magical moment. And I love like A New Hope. I love the ending to Return of the Jedi. There's a bunch I really enjoy a lot. Even like I said, Attack of the Clones legitimately I like, because you see the dark side, you see the Across the Stars theme, you see the wedding. It's like a really nice final scene for a lot of people's least favorite Star Wars movie. Rogue One has a cool ending, obviously. Solo I like the ending for, but
I thought about Solo, but then I was like, it's such a great ending except for that extra bar.
You hate the extra bar.
It drives me nuts.
Yeah, you and Lacey both have these little things that. But
yeah, and then I also wanted to say that I liked Last Jedi because there's something. Yeah, there was something so magical about the way that he was able to encapsulate the hope of the entire galaxy into one child. And like literally just him standing in front of that star and moving it up just says so much about, okay, now it's our turn to be on the offensive. It's just so good. But another one that I was considering was the Phantom Menace too, because of the music, that whole thing.
Yeah, and that's the Palpatine theme, right?
I do, yeah.
Which I forget when I learned that, I was like, holy crap, John Williams, wow, man. But yeah, Force Awakens for me is just like, it's just a special thing, and it'll always be that way. That last scene, it really hit me, like Rey like completing that journey, and the music is so good.
Yep. All right, well, let's move on to one final one with the Force question, and that one is going to be: you have the ability, the power to make one of these directors' Star Wars movies get made. Which one are you choosing? Now, we just recently talked about last week the long laundry list of all these movies, but we took the three bottom ones because we think the three top ones are more likely to get made. So let's talk about the three bottom ones. Of these three directors, which one do you greenlight magically? So it's going to happen. Sean Levy's movie, Rian Johnson's movie, or Taika Waititi's movie? And based on TRB Live, actually it was a poll, so I can't give anything away. I'm not saying any more.
Right.
But all right, so because that comes out
Um,
tomorrow for all patrons.
Yeah.
But we've already recorded it. So which one are you picking, John?
That's a spicy mini episode that's hitting Patreon tomorrow. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say that. I'm a toss up between two of them. I think, and really this is solely coming down to director preference because we know nothing about any of these projects.
Right.
So I'm going to say Ryan Johnson, actually, because I know he's done it. And whether you like it or not, I thought he made a great movie. And I think him outside of the preciousness of the Skywalker saga, he could do something special without any like preconceived notions. And I think he's a great director. Not take anything away from the other two, but I think that would be my pick right now. And that might surprise people because I like The Last Jedi, but I'm not like a diehard fan of it.
Mm-hmm.
I like JJ better, but I would probably greenlight his and see what he can do with a blank canvas. What about you?
For me, I see Sean Levy and Taika Waititi as the same sort of option. It's like this movie that we have no connection to at all because we have seen Ryan's stuff before, and both of them have this edge of comedy that could be kind of neat, but they both feel like they're sort of the same movie and the same likelihood of being made. So the question is like, do you want one of those or do you want Ryan Johnson that you've already seen, which is this well-constructed movie that came with a lot of baggage, and divisive fans and stuff. I think at the end of the day, though, I am actually with you on the choice.
Cool.
I think that Sean Levy and Taika Waititi's projects both are too much of a mystery, considering I don't know what kind of movie they would make. And when I look at Ryan Johnson, I go, I hate that the fandom would have to do it again. That they would bring him back.
That's the only thing.
Yeah. And it would be that. But I think that the movie that he would make with a new retrospect on how everything went down last time, I think Ryan would probably handle it a little bit differently, but still make a very good movie, a very solid Star Wars movie that won't have any of those connections to fandom and stuff that people were so upset about.
Yeah, and Ryan Johnson would,
and it would be the first. It wouldn't be like the follow up of like, now that we saw what JJ did,
right?
And
he probably learned some things that he thinks like, I probably wouldn't have done this or would have done this a little differently. And now that he has one under his belt, I think that lends itself to progress for him in terms of being a Star Wars director too. So,
wow, it is a crazy time that we're looking at 6, 7 now directors. We're not directors. I guess we don't have a director for the Lando movie necessarily, but we are looking at 7 Star Wars movies and going, which one of those 7 do we think will actually make it?
I know.
It's wild.
Yeah. Yep.
And like I said, we don't have a director picked out for the Lando series as of now, but we could speculate on who that could be as we move into the discussion. One with the Force wrapping up, and let's get on to that next section, and let's just go straight to it.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
Yeah, James, you're right. We don't know who's directing Lando. But we're going to speculate on who might be in Lando. And the title of this episode should make that pretty clear where we're aiming here, but we'll probably branch out a bit. But now that Stephen Glover has confirmed the Lando series is being developed as a feature film, the question back on the table is, will Han Solo be in it? Being Alden Ehrenreich's Han Solo.
Yeah.
So straight up, to the point, conversation. I'm going to start things off. I'm just as a hopeful person saying yes, but also as a logical person, I'm saying yes also, because I think with a feature film, the stakes are higher. There's more money at stake. They probably want to make sure that this thing is packed enough. Not that they don't believe in the character of Lando, but Han Solo is a more popular character than Lando Calrissian, and look what happened with that movie. Now, I blame that on the marketing and the release date, not necessarily the quality of the movie itself and the story, but I never really saw Lando as a character who could carry his own movie. And now that it's being made as a movie, to me, tells me that we are going to see the continued threads of Solo. So I'm thinking the syndicates, I'm thinking Kira Maul, I'm thinking Lando, I'm thinking Han Chewie, maybe even Jabba, Boba Fett. They're going to pack everyone into this movie and sort of give us, making Solo 2 happen. I think that's their best approach to get enough people in to a theater to see this. And I think that's the right move. So I'm thinking this is a good sign that Alden Ehrenreich will return as Han Solo. And this is sort of their way of continuing those stories that were clearly left wide open at the end of Solo in such a perfect way. Where are you at now? Because I mean, obviously we're all make Solo 2 happen.
Yeah.
We're the Make Solo 2 happen crew. But what do you think about that? Do you think, in your gut, Han Solo's Alden Ehrenreich's Han Solo is going to appear in the Lando movie?
No.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So when this news dropped, you sent it to the chat and you said more likelihood that Alden is going to show up. And I said, well, to be honest, my opinion, think of it this way, is that when you're doing a television show, you've got 6 or 8 40-minute episodes. And so there's less screen time or less available time to sort of go down a different path where you could bring in those extra characters, visit that extra planet, do the side quest, feature some more people. And when you really have to chop down that through line, that story that you want to tell, sometimes it's just going to come down to what is absolutely necessary. You bring up the point, though, is that elevates the chances then because you have the higher stakes. But I still wonder if Disney goes, what are you doing? You're wanting to add the main character of the movie that failed, and then they say like, oh, we don't really think it failed. You know what I mean? But that's the vibe around it. I could see them saying that. And the only reason to me to add that character in, you're right, it's Han Solo, but does this new version of non-Harrison Ford Solo unfortunately have this kind of stink attached to it that if he shows up in the trailer, then people go, oh, is that, like that's just more of this. The other portion of it too, I would just want to mention real quick, is I do think Lando can carry a movie, especially when it's Donald Glover, because I feel like Donald is capable of writing the story and the world and everything that Lando can be when it comes to that character and make him really cool in the same way that you might say something like, I don't think Iron Man can carry a movie. Well, he probably can't, but if you make him cool and you develop that character and really show us what's neat about that character, then you can have your Thors and your Captain Americas and your Iron Mans carry movies. Whereas before, those characters they felt like they were sort of secondary to your Spider-Mans and your X-Men's and things.
Yeah, that's the Marvel comp's always tough for me because Iron Man started the MCU. No one really knew what Iron Man was. And then you got Robert Downey Jr.
But Iron Man didn't start superhero movies. Like people were saying, you can make movies about Batman and Superman, but you can't make movies about Iron Man. He can't carry a movie. That's what I
didn't even know what Iron Man was, to be honest with you.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I think that's sort of the same boat as people do know who Lando is, but can he carry a movie? And I'm like, I think he can, man. I think he could be of this huge charismatic character who goes on all sorts of these, gets himself into trouble and out of it.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying about Donald Glover. I think he is capable. I think he and his brother are capable, clearly. But what story do you tell with Lando that's compelling enough to say, like, this is why we made this movie? And I don't know if I could think of it, because Lando really is, unless they really want to take a detour on what we knew that character to be, I mean, he's a light character. He's a supporting character in Star Wars. You could even say a supporting character, because you can even call Han Solo a supporting character to Luke Skywalker, and then Lando is a supporting character to Han's story. Obviously, he has grown and became a hero and all that stuff, and had a bigger role. I don't even know a bigger role. Return of the Jedi, he wasn't even in that much, but
he led the attack on the Death Star.
I know, but I mean screen time. I mean, he really.
It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah, but when I think of a Lando movie, and if it's just Lando, and who are we surrounding Lando with? Is it Lobot? Like, is that enough? So what else do we bring in? Are we just going on this new adventure with Lando Calrissian, where he's this gambler and a swindler and stuff, and it's like a pirate movie, but there's everything else is new? Does it end with the Tabana gas mine at Bespin? Is that enough? Is Cloud City enough? So then I start thinking, like, clearly when they meet in Empire, there's, after what you pulled sort of thing. And I do not believe to this day it's when he took his cheating card out of his sleeve. I think there's more interactions that have happened between the two of them. I started thinking about Chewbacca. I started thinking about the Millennium Falcon. I started thinking about stuff that you can put into this movie that would not feel forced, people would be like, I'm going to see a Lando movie. Why aren't they here? I don't understand that. You're going to make a Lando movie and you're not going to have these friends of his in here, the Falcon, all this stuff. So that's where my mind goes. And I think for the general audience, like the Disney thinking and Lucasfilm thinking, like, let's get as many people as we can to see movies. Movies aren't doing so hot at the box office. I think you want to get the wide net. I don't look at Solo as this didn't work because of the movie. We've said this many times. I just think it was marketed terribly. They didn't believe in it. They didn't feature the love story in marketing. It looked dark. They didn't feature even Alden that much in the marketing as Han Solo. I think they took a passive approach to marketing Solo, and it was a big mistake. They should have made it seem like a rocket ship flying good time, and it felt like this sort of, I don't know, like the first shot was him like in a prison cell. It was like strange. And then where they sandwiched it. So I'm taking all of the good from Solo, which for me is a lot of it, and saying, like, if they try it again, which is what a Lando 2 could be if they do a Solo follow-up, they could really sell this as a really fun swashbuckling adventure from the marketing perspective. I need to be sold on how, and Disney had to have been sold on this, how do you sell me on a Lando movie with no one else of familiarity or connectivity to Lando that we know had connectivity to Lando, and tell me that movie's going to make over 500 million or whatever at the box office?
Man, I don't know, man. I hear they're doing a Lando movie and it's done by Donald Glover, and I just think, oh, well, he's the hero of that story, and they're going to dive into the world that Lando has been involved in for a very long time. The sportsman, gambling underground, and like he's going to get himself involved with this other gang of people. And all of it makes so much sense. Honestly, it's like even one of those things where when they announced it, I go, yep, that makes sense. I think one thing here that's the difference is Lando is very close to Han Solo in character. Like they hang out in the same crowds. They obviously know each other. But I think when you describe the movie, I think you're saying have Lando be the main character, but still have that main character's movie be like a Han Solo movie. And I'm like, I don't think that's the case. I think what they're going to do is they did Han Solo and they had Lando in it. And then if they do Lando, if Han happens to be in it, it's Han entering Lando's world. And from character designs to the planets they visit and the worlds, they're not going to be those desolate planets. They're going to be expensive and lavish, very comparable to how Lando kept the Falcon and how Han kept the Falcon. And I think there's something about the production that goes into what Donald is picturing. And I literally just picture like flashing lights and big high quality luxury, and he's playing the games and stuff. Yeah, all of that. And I'm like, that's Lando's world, and I'm excited to see it, and I'm excited to learn more about it. And just the same as, I know it's the Marvel comp, but just the same as anytime they introduce me to any one of those characters, and then they say that character's getting their own standalone movie, I don't always expect them to be like, well, the only reason that movie is going to make $1 billion is if they throw in the Thors or throw in the, Fury or something like that. I feel like a lot of times you just kind of get introduced to more people in that character's life and that character's circles. And you go, those characters are awesome too. Emphas Nest, is awesome. We got introduced to Beckett and Kira and Dryden Voss and Emphas Nest and Rio Durant. It's like all these characters came from only needing to really know Han and Chewie.
But what else was in it? Maul was in it. The Falcon's in it.
Right,
Chewie's
but those are cameos. Not
Chewie
the Falcon.
and the Falcon.
No. I said Han and Chewie were your two people for that movie.
But the Falcon's a big thing too.
But everybody else around him, I felt like was new to the movie.
I totally see what you're saying. I think it'd be interesting if we revisit Canto Bight and Lando's there, because we know he's gambled there before. I find all that interesting, but what is the story? Like, it can't just be, Lando's going around gambling and he's womanizing and he's fraternizing. Like, there has to be a conflict.
Well, here's the thing is that this to me is the same reason I think we always talk about Solo just being like, you could make it Solo 2, a Solo 3, a Solo 4, a Solo 5, because to me, the stories with these characters are completely endless. Let anybody write a story. Lando makes a bad deal, gets himself into some trouble.
Sure.
It gets his girlfriend captured and he's like, I got to do the right thing. I got to get her back, or whatever. I don't know what the story is, but I guarantee you I'm on board.
I get that. The question is, like, what was sold enough for them to be like, okay, we're going to transition this to a movie. And also let's be clear about this. It hasn't been like confirmed that it's going to be a theatrical film. It's possible that they're doing the first ever movie on Disney Plus too. That could be a thing too. So we have to add that factor in here too. I wonder what caused the shift though. Was it the brothers? Because their biggest success together is a TV show. So, like, I was surprised when I heard that it was being moved to a movie by Stephen Glover.
Critically acclaimed TV show.
Yes, yeah. But that's what I mean, though. So, wouldn't you think, like, oh, you guys nailed that. We're going to stick with the series thing here. What caused the shift to a movie is the question here. Yeah. And it's a head scratcher. It's a head scratcher for sure.
I think if I was guessing, which actually, to be honest with you, I feel like I've guessed this whole story pretty well. Coming down to, like, I think the director or the writer who was working on it before has already been fired and he doesn't know it. I nailed all that stuff. I just get this vibe from Donald that I feel like I pick up on exactly what he's putting down, even though he's being mysterious about it. My gut instinct to this whole thing is he knows what he wants the story to be, but he knows that he has a lot of leeway as a celebrity. And I think what he's doing right now is he said, I'll do it. And then they're like, we want to make it a series. And he's like, kind of don't want to do a series, but they announce it as a series. And he's like, okay, but he doesn't say he's part of it or anything. And he's like, it has to be great. And I think what this comes down to is he's saying, here's my proposal. I'm going to bounce back at you. And I think they accepted the offer. More money, less time working. I think he would be on shooting a show for longer, and he may be it would have potentially less budget. I don't know if that's true or not compared to like what budgets get for this or that, but I think the negotiated pay and the time both factored into him switching the deal to an opportunity where he could work for less or have less time on his schedule working on that project. And yet that project gets elevated to theaters, theatrical run, bigger probably promotion as far as like
Yeah.
R&D or not R&D, what's it called? P&A. Yeah.
I'm looking at his, credentials
And they
his resume
accepted
and
the
stuff.
offer in order to lock him in.
I mean, that's possible. I also feel like we may sometimes be overrating the star power of Donald Glover. I understand that he's multifaceted, quite talented in music, TV, comedy, movies, all that. Jack of all trades, Community, his stand-up. He's great. I love him. But it's not like he's, Tom Cruise and it's like, oh, we're going to lock him in. We're going to make $1 billion here. Like there has to be something else here to make Disney pull the trigger on this thing, especially with the status the company's in right now. And
Who do you
that's
think
not
got
a
paid
slight.
more for Solo?
Huh?
Donald or Woody Harrelson?
Who made more money?
Yeah. Who do you think was the bigger like get on that movie?
Woody Harrelson.
You say that, but
It has
I
to
don't
be.
know.
Yeah. Look at
I feel like it's, I don't disagree because I will say that I'm 100% with you in the fact that I think we people, fans, and also Lucasfilm are probably overestimating his worth. But at the same time, I do really think that when that movie was announced and it had Woody Harrelson in it, people are like, oh, cool. Like that. I love Woody Harrelson. I'm glad he's in it. And then it's like Donald Glover playing Lando. I think people are like, yo,
well, that's because
cool. That's
that was
a cool
fan
get.
cast that seemed the look was there and all that stuff. But
I think it was because like you got this guy to be in a Star Wars movie.
But Woody Harrelson's a star.
I know, but I'm telling you that I'm going off of the vibe of what people say about Donald Glover. Like,
but you asked me who made more money.
Whether it's all hype or not.
You said who made more money. The answer is Woody Harrelson because he has a resume in Hollywood of being a star and being able to lead big Hollywood movies. What's your favorite Donald Glover movie? Do you see what I'm saying?
I know, I get it, but I honestly think it's kind of one of those things where like we've been a band that's been around forever, but then this guy just like blows up overnight and he's getting paid more than us because he's just like the hype is about high.
He's immensely talented and like I still haven't watched Atlanta, but now I definitely got to check that out.
I'm 2 seasons into it and I will say this. I watched the first like half of the season or first season and I was like, I do not get this show at all. And I realized it's not the kind of show that I thought it was. If you thought it was going to be a comedy and it's not, it's like a sci-fi, it's like you're watching it like, I don't get why this is funny. It's like, I just thought it was going to be a different type of show. And I'm watching it like, I don't understand the show. And then I looked up stuff and I was like kind of trying to understand the vibe. And once I think I got it, I was like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Now it makes sense.
Where is it? Where is it to watch now? Do you know where it's like streaming?
Hulu. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, check it out.
Yep. It is on Hulu. And I was excited because after watching 2 seasons of the show, I went to go see Haunted Mansion, and the main character in that movie is from Atlanta. He's one of the characters in Atlanta. And I was like, oh, shoot. I was like, I have a connection to this guy now. Like, because I've been watching him in this other show and I can see how his acting in that show compares to the acting in like Disney Family Haunted Mansion movie. So it was cool. Yeah, with Rosario Dawson, which was interesting too.
That is interesting. I do think, I don't know. It's just hard for me. And I'm biased, of course, because I love Alden's Han Solo. But I just have a very hard time, even remove Han from it, I have a hard time thinking that they're not going to figure out a way to get the Falcon and Chewie in this thing too. And if you do that, you obviously get Han involved. So my hope is because the end of Solo left so many threads open that they do explore all this stuff and Lando gets like thrusted into the thick of it somehow. Like how about this? Like, you know how Lando is a swindler and he likes to make money and he doesn't mind burning his friends. What if Lando winds up getting in the middle of all of this and he's like in between Crimson Dawn and the Hutts and all this stuff, and he's sort of he's telling this story because he's the one who gets into trouble between all the syndicates some way because he plays both sides. That could be something. And then we get to get Maul, we get to get Kira, but it's still Lando's story, and he's the reason why these syndicates start battling.
The tricky thing for me is that everything you just described sounds like Solo 2, and this isn't Solo 2, it's Lando. So it's like, to me, it's like I'm trying to think of an example of like a character where there was like a the main character, and then when they did the sequel, they're like, but the sequel is actually not going to really involve, I mean, it'll have the main character from the other title movie, but it'll really be focused on this other guy, which is why we're changing the name to the other guy.
Well, look at, Phantom Menace. It's Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and they meet this
but it wasn't
kid.
like Rocky. And then like the second movie
Creed
features, I know, but that's different. That's way after the fact. But no. It's not. That's not the same thing. This is like, you want Rocky 2 to happen, and they're going, we're not doing Rocky 2. It's just not going to happen. But we are going to do a Adonis Creed movie. And you're like, okay, but it's going to be basically Rocky 2, right? And I'm like, I don't think so. I think if they're pivoting from Rocky 2 to go do Adonis Creed, not Creed the Son, but like, at that time in that era, like in the 80s, do his movie. I think it's about him. It's his story, and it doesn't have anything to do with what was going on in the first one. Maybe that's a poor example, but
I am issuing a pie bet that Han Solo will appear in the Lando movie.
That's tough because I don't necessarily have a problem with him appearing, because I think it totally makes sense that Lando appears in Han Solo's movie. So Han Solo appearing in Lando's movie. The bet really to me is I'm gambling on whether or not I think Lucasfilm thinks that's a good decision or a bad decision. They think it's a good decision in your mind because it will raise the stakes and bring more people to the box office. And I'm wondering if they think putting that guy in the movie would then turn people away because they saw what that was and they didn't like it, or they didn't go I
think this is a low key, because Alden hasn't come back to any celebrations or fanfare. He's doing his own private independent films and all that
also
stuff.
Watched Cocaine Bear.
Who he, like, him delivering a line that the bear did cocaine and it being believable is all you need to know about that kid's chops.
I just love that it was him and
O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Yeah, I know, but what's his name? Riken. It's like Han Solo and Riken running around the whole movie.
Roken. Yeah.
And I love it when I see Star Wars actors with other Star Wars actors doing.
Oh, I just did a pot on Death Proof, and it was Rosario Dawson and Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm trying to get at is low key under the radar. Alden Ehrenreich's Han Solo is going through that time period now that is leading to, when he does return, it's a nice ovation for, like, you didn't deserve what the results of that movie was, sort of like a Hayden Christensen, Ahmed Best type of thing. I think he returns, he gets a nice warm welcome, because the more people talk about Solo, they're like, yeah, a lot of people have been really coming around to that movie. I think it gets a nice sort of warmer reception if he does return. So, and I think Lucasfilm has their ear to the ground on that, and they understand that, and they also see sort of the momentum he's building as an artist, Alden Ehrenreich, on his own right. I would be honestly surprised if he does not make an appearance in this movie.
So here's a question for me. Let's say he does appear, right? Mm-hmm. We've now had a Han Solo movie with Lando and a Lando movie with Han Solo. Do you think that people start to think of this in that smaller pocket of like, what's kind of going on in the Mandoverse, what's kind of going on over at Marvel is like in this era, we could give Han Solo a movie, we could give Lando a movie, we could do this character do a movie, and then it sort of is like maybe leading to something that could be cool. If Lando takes off and it's well received, then you could sort of just start. Maybe you don't have to do a Solo 2, like you don't have to do Hulk 2. But Hulk involved with the Avengers
You love Marvel.
made a lot of sense. You know what I mean? So getting these people together, Lando could be that pivot point where I still think it's his own movie, but the way
100%.
End screen and like Lando walks in and or Han walks in or whatever, and he's like, "Hey buddy, I need you for another job." And then he's like, and it like goes to credits or something, it could just be like, they obviously are setting up for something. And my question would be, is there was way back in the day, there was plans for this Boba Fett movie. And this Boba Fett movie was going to have Han Solo in it. And then Han Solo or Boba Fett was going to be in Solo.
Right.
And they were going to do the whole thing. And I'm like, maybe if Lando is successful and Alden's in it and Chewie's in it, and they kind of maybe make that like connection to a bigger picture here. Is there any chance that we also could get either the Boba Fett movie or Boba Fett could be like the villain of but I don't see, but that would be bad because Boba Fett would need to be defeated. If he was the Thanos, you'd need to defeat him and kill him, and he obviously does not die. So
let's
that's
not
a bad
forget
idea.
the fact that,
but it's cool that he's around. Maybe
Lando gets on the Falcon in The Empire Strikes Back and is totally okay with how everything looks. It's not shocking to him at all. Now, at the end of Solo, the outside gets completely thrashed, and it looks like the Falcon we know. The inside is still Lando's Falcon. Cape closets there, nice tile floors, paneling still intact, lights are on, nice and fluorescent, clean. He should have had a visceral reaction when he went on the Falcon in Empire. That leads me to think like a hilarious scene would be like Lando getting on the Falcon and seeing that Han and Chewie turned into a pigsty. And he's like, what did you do to my ship? Like,
Yeah.
Like that, those types of scenes are what pop into my head. And it's just like, it's obviously my hope because I want to see it so badly, but I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I'm just like, I do want it to be Lando's movie, but it just makes a lot of sense to continue those threads and continue that Han-Lando relationship, which we know has gone back and forth a few times over the years. I'm not saying make it Solo 2 and like, sorry, Lando, like we're going to push you aside. Obviously not. You have Donald Glover and his brother who want to write this character. They want to write the Lando movie.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
Lando cool.
Yeah, exactly. Have Lando be the hero of the movie. He's not going to be outshined by anybody, just like Han wasn't outshined in Solo. But they can still
and Lucasfilm
be there.
wants to develop their characters. Obviously,
Yeah,
they
can
would
still
love
be there
another
as
title character who's a hero, and kids look up to Lando now too. It's like that's cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because going into this, I wasn't sure where you stood. I do remember us talking on our private chats about you saying like, yeah, I don't know about that movie making it better, and I thought it did, but it's interesting. I don't have much more to add to it, honestly, but it's let's put this out there. Let's hope it gets made.
Yeah, we could briefly talk about that. Like, what if this was on that list? Where do you rank it? We said Rian Johnson was at the very bottom.
Who's directing this? Like what if Sean Levy's directing this?
I've put that stuff together too. Like was Rian Johnson writing Kevin Feige's movie, and stuff. And it's like, I just think at the end of the day, all that stuff is not connected.
No, and it very well might not be. Where do I put it? Because Lucasfilm confirmed it to Variety, that gives it a boost. I have to put it above. I'm going to put it fourth. So I'm going now Mangold. Or no, I'm going Filoni, Mangold, Obaid Chinoy, a.k.a. the Ray movie, Lando, Sean Levy, Taika, Ryan Johnson.
I'm sorry, say it again, because I thought you were going from the bottom up and you didn't. You went reverse.
Most likely to least likely.
Okay,
so
yeah.
Filoni, Mangold, Obaid Chinoy, a.k.a. the Ray movie,
Huh.
Lando,
And Lando. Okay.
Sean Levy, Taika, Ryan Johnson.
I'm putting Lando over Ryan and Taika because our lists were kind of different. I'm going Ryan Johnson at the bottom, then Taika, and then Lando, and then Sean Levy, actually.
Okay. Interesting. Sean Levy not officially announced yet, but he has said it. So
yeah, I really it honestly look at the two just strictly on this alone. Sean Levy says, I'm crossing that line, I'm making that movie, and Donald is going, it would have to be great. It's like just literally those two lines alone. I go, all right, I know you're both working on it, but one of you seems very determined to cross the line, and the other one not so much. I also had a guess for director. You ready for this?
Oh,
it's probably
I know
expected.
Yeah, I know exactly.
What are you gonna say?
Ryan Coogler.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
It's after I think Black Panther came out, everybody was kind of eyeballing him for a Star Wars movie anyway because of how well the character was received. And we've just not gotten it yet. We've not gotten him in talks. I don't necessarily know exactly what he's working on as a director. Like he did Black Panther and then he did Wakanda Forever. But I'm looking on his IMDb and he's got two other movies that are currently in development, or actually one of them is a TV series. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Creed has run its that's weird that we're talking about Creed as well, but I feel like Creed has run its race.
Well, Michael B. Jordan sort of took that over anyway. He directed the last one, I think.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah. But I don't know. I think Ryan Coogler could be a good choice to make that character a popular character, just the same way as he did for Black Panther. I totally revolutionized that character coming from nowhere and turned him into like an icon. And I would think that he could handle a Star Wars movie very well. He would make it very cool. And if you were going to attach him to a character, Lando makes a lot of sense. Donald Glover makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And it would be groundbreaking. Well, I don't want to say first because, Rick Famuyiwa, but first Black director of a Star Wars movie. And like having it be the hero Black character in Star Wars where there's not many, having it directed by a Black person, I think would be important for them. And I think I would see Donald Glover and Stephen Glover going that direction. So that would make a lot of sense. And I'd be happy if that announcement was made. So
that's just off the cuff for me. I think he seems like he's one of those directors that you would just aim, be like, that makes sense for that project.
Yeah. And he's done, Black Panther, which is a major Disney IP that made.
Did you see Wakanda Forever?
I didn't see that one yet. No,
I did.
I've had reservations because of Chadwick Boseman dying, but
I know I watched it and I remember just kind of vibing through it. Like I was like, okay, that's what happened. But I don't feel like I gave it the full watch because of the missing Chadwick Boseman angle. And I was like, I kind of want to revisit and see like, how do they really approach that? Like, I know how they approached it. I know what they did, but I really want to see it and really take it in a little bit better because his whole story is just like, we're off topic now, but like his whole story of like Chadwick Boseman becoming the Black Panther and then passing away before they could make a second one. It's so nuts.
I know. And it still made a lot of
we
money.
just did the Ray Stevenson thing too, you know?
Yeah.
Like he just became this iconic Star Wars character overnight.
Right.
And passes before he has the opportunity to ever do anything with him again. But at least we don't know how that character ends. Maybe he dies.
Yeah. And Wakanda Forever made almost 900 million. So, I mean, he's bankable, and Disney likes track records on that respect. So it checks all the boxes. So it's funny like that I guessed that was your pick, but I think it's the right.
I've said it before.
Yeah, I think it's the right move. I think it is. So hopefully we can will that into fruition if it's not already in ink. But maybe once all the strikes get resolved, we're going to hear all these announcements because, we've talked to people and they're like, yeah, people are still working on their stuff just like behind closed doors, and they're waiting for the strikes to end so that they can share them with their colleagues and all that stuff. So it's exciting. And again, ultimately, I just hope it gets made, and I hope it's good, whether Han's in there or not. I just thought it was interesting. Now that they shifted it to a movie, do they need to, pepper more familiar faces and the Falcon and all that type of stuff in there? And how far do they go with it with, Kira and, all that stuff? Because Kira clearly knew Lando before the heist anyway. So
and my final thought on it, like I've said before, I think that I totally believe in the Lando character. I think that he could create his own world and be his own thing. And I think that is the leg that they will stand on. But I also think that it would be really cool if they use this opportunity to sort of rebuild Solo and cultivate that era to give us something bigger in the future.
Yeah. It's interesting. Very interesting. Anything else on this before
not for
close
me.
out today's show? Yeah.
Nope.
All right. Good stuff. Thank you to everybody for listening and watching and being a part of TRB. We hope you enjoyed our discussion on Lando. It got me more excited about Lando just thinking about it. So hopefully it crosses hopefully it starts production and then crosses the finish line and all goes well, and we get that Lando movie, however it turns out being made, and a lot of the other movies we talked about. So thank you everyone for listening and watching. Make sure you spread the word, and like we said before, if you're able to support us, hop on to patreon.com/resistance broadcast and sign up. And a special thank you to our generals and spice runners on Patreon: Carmelo, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Darth Hurricane, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, Danny, Mike Ramori, Matt Heath, Brendan McLaughlin, Count Pepto, Sneaky Zebra, Aaron Ellington, Colin Cormier, Jolton Jedi DiMaggio, Diana and Dave Hornack, and our Spice Runners: David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gellner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Michael Fry, and the Fort Worthian, and all our patrons, and all of our listeners, and all of our watchers, everyone in the TRB community. Thank you so much. For me, Johnny Hoey on X, Threads, Blue Sky, and my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies. We just did Death Proof by Quentin Tarantino, and we're doing Boogie Nights next. Should be a wild one. James, how about you?
X and Instagram, both at Myra Trunks, is where you can find me to talk about Star Wars and other things that we want to talk about.
If they make X a pay-for service, will you do it?
Probably, yeah.
How much? What if it's like
That's the
$6 a
question.
month?
That's the question. It all depends on the price.
What's your cap?
Well, here's the thing: is when Blue first dropped, I did it, and most people didn't do it. And I think at the time it was $2.99, and I was like, I absolutely would pay $2.99 for a service that I used literally every single day, and I'd get these benefits. Mm-hmm. It's worth $3 a month, which breaks down to what, $36 a year or something like that. That's literally like going out to eat one time, so it's like, I think that would be worth it to me. Although I don't know what this base price that Elon was talking about would be. It could be $1, but he says a couple dollars when he refers to it. And it's all for the glory of making the platform better, because it won't have the negative things that we associate with Twitter now. That's what he's trying to eliminate. We think it's bad people sometimes, and it's not. It's like the negativity is coming from this thing that if he eliminates, wouldn't everybody want Twitter to be a great place? Okay, well, it can be for $1.99 a month, 99 cents a month, $1.05,
right.
$3.50, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
And then we're good.
Then there it is. And then for Lacey, as we said, Lacey Gillerin, across all the major social media apps. That is it.
It's Lacey Gillerin on TikTok.
TikTok, right. So tomorrow, Ahsoka, part 7. We'll be back with you Wednesday night for TRB Live, 8:30 East, right here on youtube.com/@the-resistance broadcast, and following that on all the podcast apps. So enjoy your Mondays. We hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time right here on The Resistance Broadcast. See you around, kids.